Often our communion Sabbaths are some of our best attended Sabbaths. The church looks the same as it does on any other Sabbath. I believe with all my heart that in the pulpit, we maybe have not been successful in conveying, because frankly, our pews are full of people full of guilt, full of shame, not trusting their relationship with God. So I would say that's the reason why communion often has low attendance. So what do we do at CPC to change that? Well, I try to preach the kind of messages that laud the grace of God, that laud his goodness, that laud his forgiveness, that exalt his willingness to receive us as we are. That's the first thing. The second thing we do is that we involve our elders, our deacons, and our deaconess in training and rehearsal that creates excitement and preparation, our musicians as well. And then we advertise communion, and we invite people to communion, and we do special things. They know at every communion I'm going to have a special feature, either a reading, something shown on the screen, maybe a harpist, some special feature or factor that will be worshipful. But I think the most important thing we do at CPC is deliver the kind of truths all during the period between communions that give people permission to bring their sin-filled selves to Jesus. Before the church got to be so large, we had 3 foot washing services. Women only, men only, and couples. Now, because of space constraints, we've had to go back to men only and women only together. And again, we make that very alive, lots of singing, lots of fellowship. It's well planned, it's set up beforehand. The towels, the chairs, the water, it's very organized. The deaconess and the deacons are very organized. Those who will serve, those who will take the dirty water, those who will clean the pans. The process is almost like an assembly line, keeping it going. I would say, though, that a lot of our people do not see the importance of connecting the 2 services. And so I don't see as many people coming to foot washing as I would like. And I would probably say that at most communions you have more people who take the Lord's Supper but do not participate in the ordinance of humility. I would say that's the pattern of most communion services, at least in the Adventist church. We do pretty well, but I would say that even in our church, we probably only have 2/3 of the people go through the ordinance of humility as who take the Lord's Supper. And some of that is a lack of the understanding of the connection between the 2, and I guess we've got to do a better job there of preaching it and teaching it, because Jesus linked them very carefully together. We try to make it as meaningful, enjoyable as we possibly can. And I can recall an experience I had at a church, not CPC, where I preached a sermon clarifying the meaning of these verses, showing that in Luke 22, the people who ate the first communion was the betrayer, were disciples arguing about who would be the greatest. And yet Jesus says in Luke 22, I desire to eat this feast with you. The feast is for sinners. It's for people who need the Lord, who need Christ. And I preached that with fervor at this church. And a gentleman who had been a member of the church for 30 years, my brother, came to me with tears in his eyes, hands trembling, grabbed mine and said, you've given me permission for the first time in my life to take communion.